Hello fellow haters of blue and welcome to my channel, and also welcome to Heavy Contrast Marines, a series where I try to paint a space marine to the highest level possible using just contrast paints and highlights. And would you look at all those blues there? We are painting the blue bad guys in this episode, the Night Lords. So, with the appropriate atmosphere and our paints and brushes ready, let's get cracking. So we have our spiky boy here, and he's undercoated using Quark's white, and I also did a quick layer over that spray with the base version just to smooth everything out. And now I'm going to start layering on the blue on the armor. For this I'm using a 2-to-1 mix of Leviathan blue and Talazar blue. This is 2 parts Leviathan blue and 1 part Talazar blue. I will apply this over all the panels. As always, I go section by section, I apply it heavily, let it sit and absorb any excess. Watch out for falling paint where you don't want it. And once you are sure there are no weird pullings anywhere, move on to the next panel and repeat the process. Our first layer of our blue mix is now dry, and I'm not really happy with how deep it is. I want it darker, so I'm going to do a second layer. This time I'm adding 1 drop of contrast medium to the mix. This is 2 parts Leviathan blue, 1 part Talazar blue and 1 part contrast medium. And I will also try to apply it not as heavy as our previous layer. I will press this over everything, and again watch out for excessive pulling. Our second layer of contrast paints is now dry, and I'm going to start highlighting all the blue armor. First of all, I'm going to do a small glaze towards the top of the main panels using CALEDON SKY. This is the consistency I'm going for with CALEDON SKY, and I'm just going to slowly build this up in thin glazes towards the top. Like for example here on his shin, and here on his gauntlet. Also with CALEDON SKY, I'm going to edge highlight everything, and I'm doing a thick edge highlight with this. Not too worried about being precise or anything. I'm just going to hit all the edges of the armor with CALEDON SKY. Also with CALEDON SKY, I want to start mapping out my lightning like you can see here on his claw, and I think this shoulder pad is a perfect sample to showcase to you. For our first step, I'm going to do a very rough sketch and thick sketch of that lightning with CALEDON SKY. You don't really need to be precise. This is just a map out of what we will probably do later. And it's just there to create like an OSL of that lightning. I've just finished all my steps using CALEDON SKY, and you can see I patterned all my lightning all around the model, and it's now time to move into the next color. This is Lothern Blue, and I will just do a thin edge highlight all around the model with this. This time you need to make your highlight as thin as possible. Also with Lothern Blue, I will now paint in the actual lightning. Again, very thin lines, and this time try to make the lines breaking, like so, like trembling, just like that, and add secondary thin lines. Again, look at pictures of real lightning, and that will help you massively. Just like that. Our highlights with Lothern Blue is now done, and I'm going to do another highlight. This is a 50-50 mix of Lothern Blue and Ulthuan Grey. And I'm just going to do the edge highlights, but concentrating them towards the sharpest corners and edges. I won't touch any of the lightning with this. With that highlight done, I'm going to move into the next one. This is Ulthuan Grey, and on the armor itself I will just do small dots of this, just in the very corners and sharper bits. And I will also paint the lightning with this. I will try to keep the same shape as I did before, but I won't be covering everything. I will just concentrate the lightning in certain areas randomly. And finally, I'm taking pure white And I'm repeating the same step, but just on the lightning. And again, and now I'm trying to pick again random sections of the lightning with this. All the blue in the armor is now completely done. And I will start now to paint the extra details on the model. First of all, I'm going to start with the rubber joints and tubes on the armor. For this, I'm going to first base coat them using Griff Charger Grey. I will later on apply Black Templar over all of them, but I prefer to start with Griff Charger Grey because it gives us a colder look, first of all, and also makes them a bit darker, which will help at getting a darker tone overall. Also pick up with this the tubes. While the Griff Charger Grey dries, I'm going to base coat all the bones using a skeleton hood. I will try to make it pull towards the base of each bone, like that, so it will be darker towards the bottom and lighter towards the tip. With the Griff Charger Grey now dry, I'm going to apply Black Templar over all the parts that I did Griff Charger Grey. The Black Templar is now dry and I'm going to start highlighting all the rubber ridges and all the tubes using Fenrisian Grey. I will very carefully just pick the center of each ridge here, like this. And on the tubes, like here, I will just pick a line of this, like that. Maybe another one here. And now to finish all the black rubber parts, I'm going to do a dot highlight using Full-Line Grey. What I will do is just pick up, do a dot of this, right in the center of our Fenrisian Grey highlight. With the black parts done, I'm going to move into the bone. For this I'm taking Palette Witch Flesh. And I will do an edge highlight over all the bone details. And finally, for the bone details, I'm going to do a final highlight using white. Well, I have avoided doing this for long enough. It's time now to face the trim. And for this I'm going to use Retributor armor. And, well, there is no escaping from it. You just have to paint every single piece of trim with this. And there are quite a lot of pieces of trim. Quite a lot indeed.
Six hours later.
Please kill me. Please? I feel like 100-year-olds older, but finally all the trim is done. And now I'm going to shade it using Glimmer Flash. The Glimmer Flash is now mostly dry, but it's dry enough that I can start highlighting. For this I'm using Stormhold Silver, and I will just do an edge highlight over all the gold details. With the gold done, I'm going to move into all the steel. For this I'm going to use Iron Breaker. And I will just base coat all the parts that I want to be steel with this color. Also, don't forget to paint this kind of rigid detail that's showing through his armor. My base coat of Iron Breaker is now finished and I'm going to shade it. For this I'm going to use a mix of 1 part Black Templar and 3 parts Contrast Medium. I will apply this to all the metal, including these small knuckles, but I will try to keep it off the claws. If I mess up, I will clean them up using Iron Breaker again. While my wash of Noon Oil dries, I cleaned up all his flesh with Corax White. Now I'm going to apply a 1-to-1 mix of Dark Oak Flesh and Contrast Medium. Our layer of Dark Oak Flesh is now dry, and I'm going to take fine layer flesh and I'm going to drop it in the deepest recesses, so in his eyes here, ear down there, and also I will darken a bit his horns. For this I'm mixing my Fire Slayer flesh with some medium and I'm going to make a glaze. I'm going for this sort of consistency there, and I'm going to apply this to the top of his horns, like so, just a tiny bit, to darken all this area a bit. And I'm going to highlight his face. For this I'm using Palette Witch Flesh. I will basically just pick all the raised features, like this mini horns he has here. and also the edges of these big horns. And now I'm going to use white for my last highlight on the face. I now want to add a bit of red into the overall scheme, and for this I'm going to use Fresh Tears Red. I'm thinning it down to a glaze. You can see it there, very thin. And I'm going to glaze it towards the top of the horns. I will do several passes with this until I get the level of red I'm happy with. With this, it's better if you go slowly and add it gradually. I also take the same glaze of Flesh Tears Red, and I will apply a glaze of this into the weapons. I'm going to apply it in an TMM fashion, so it will be a bit weird, but I think it will look cool. So I'm applying it towards the back of the blades here and towards the front on this side. And I will invert this on the other side of each blade. Towards the tip there, towards the back here. And I will do again as many layers as I need to. As I said, we have our shadow here, so we will have our shadow on the tip on this side. My glazing with Flesh Tears Red is now done, and you can see how I created that TMM kind of look, which I think looks great. And now I'm going to highlight all the steel parts, including those red, using Stormhouse Silver. I will just edge highlight everything with this. Including, of course, the blades. For this I'm going to pick the middle ridge, do a very thin line. You can use this to correct your red if you went astray a bit over the middle line. But try to make this line here as thin as possible. All my edge highlighting with the Stormhouse Silvers are done, and there's just one thing left to paint, that is his eyes. And for this I'm going to use what I usually do for my bad guys, that is, I will paint them with black. And now I'm going to take pure white and do a dot of this in the center of each eye.
Round 2, fight!
Shabam! And with that done and the base painted, he is finished. And as always, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye! Do you like my videos and want to help me make them? Well, there are several ways you can do that. You can follow me on social media. You have the links to all my social media in the description below. You can also check all my affiliate links in the pinned comment of this video. Use those links in your next hobby purchase and help me without any additional cost to you. But most importantly, there is Patreon. You have the link to my Patreon in the description below and in the pinned comment of the video. Patreon helps me do all the cool projects that I want to make and helps me improve the quality of my videos. Don't be afraid, no content will ever be hidden behind a paywall, but it's a nice way to help me, and you will get something back for your generosity. As I said, guys, thank you very much for watching, and a special thank you to Ben Morin, which is one of my patrons. He has been extremely generous and he has never asked anything in return, and I know he wanted to see this tutorial more than any other, so thank you, mate. This video is for you. So guys, do like Ben, join my Patreon, and take control.